All right, Nitro.
What the hell else?
Maybe. Sometimes you play songs. I don't know.
I have a song.
If you want to play a song?
Nope, Nitro.
Okay.
Nitro number 138.
We're all going to suffer through this together.
It is still May 4th, 1998. Hey, Craig, what's May 4th?
Star Wars Day.
The announcer spent some time discussing the lineups of the various NWO factions, and I immediately didn't care. We are just starting the stupid angle. It's going on for 2 more years, and I'm going to not care about any of it.
Oh, and there's more factions coming, too.
Oh, there are. Eddie and Chavo Guerrero came out for a promo. Eddie said, I will show you by example, Chavo Guerrero, that we, the Guerreros, are winners, and that I am the best wrestler in WCW. He said, I want some serious competition, and he insulted Scott Norton and dared Norton to come out and fight. So out comes Scott Norton, who is perfectly willing to fight Eddie Guerrero, or any Guerrero, apparently. 5 seconds in, Eddie takes like 1 step to move forward for a lockup, screams, grabs his knee, rolls outside, and says, I can't go, Chavo, it's your fight.
I loved it because Chavo, I don't know if he really bought it or not, but he bought enough to get in the ring.
Yeah.
And by get in the ring, I mean Eddie grabbed his ass and threw him in the ring.
Yes.
And then he just decided to wrestle Scott Norton.
Who, by the way, fine with all this. Whichever.
He doesn't give a shit. He would have fought both of them.
I was going to beat your ass, now I'll beat your ass. That's fine.
And Chavo's significantly lighter, which Scott Norton herked him up with ease.
Yep.
Again and again and
I'm
again.
quite confident he would have herked up Eddie Guerrero with the same ease.
Exactly.
He was a big, strong man. Still is a big, strong man. So, the only reason Chavo got any offense is because Norton stopped to go after Eddie at one point. Chavo cut him off, kicked him in the knee a few times, and then Norton just grabbed him, hit a powerbomb, and a shoulder breaker for the win. He left. Ultimo Dragon came to tend to Chavo, and then nothing happened.
It was fun to see Eddie cut a fun promo, but like Chavo's completely unlikable. He's an idiot, and I don't know. It's just something happening.
It's supposed
That's
to
the
be,
story of Nitro.
It really is.
It's a bunch of stuff happening.
We've got time to fill. Go do something.
You're supposed to hate Eddie Guerrero, but you hate Chavo because he's such a moron.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero's entertaining.
You like Eddie.
And his nephew's an idiot.
Yes.
Because they're idiots.
Yeah.
Basically.
It is, in fact, WCW. Scott Putski versus Kidman.
Scott Putski.
Yep. He made the jump.
Well, may not have had a choice.
That's true.
We're not hiring. We are. Okay. So it went like 2 minutes. The Wolfpack came out through the crowd, attacked Putski for the DQ, which caused Mike Tenay to say in this exact tone, what a debut for Putski.
Yeah. Powerbomb, no mention of a fine.
Yeah, that storyline's dead. Just forgotten.
I mean, it is until they decide to bring it back.
Reinstate it.
Yeah.
So the Wolfpack gets a promo. They hate Hogan. They hate Bischoff. They hate Sting. They hate Giant. They hate Brett.
Some wacky insider comment about Scott Hall.
Always, yeah.
It's so different watching it 19 years later. Because when I was watching it live, I knew everything that was going on with Scott Hall. Now, like, I have a cursory remembrance of what was going on, but I mostly try to watch it as a fan. And as a fan, it's like, he just hadn't been around.
Yes.
But there's a lot of guys that haven't been around. Guys are like there, then they're not there. Piper vanishes for months. Is he in rehab? I don't know. Scott Hall apparently is having some sort of problem. What about all these other geeks? They just come and go. Like, shit happens. What the fuck is Nash talking about? As a casual television viewer, you're like, what is he talking about?
I think Kevin's words were, Scott Hall, too dangerous for live TV.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff thinks he's too dangerous for TV. And as a viewer, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like he's going to show up with a gun? This show's stupid.
That wasn't even my most hated Kevin Nash insider comment of this promo. Here and throughout the show, he mentioned, I guess at some point, Sting had called him funny. And tonight he's going to show he's not funny, or show Sting what is funny, or something. I don't know. But Sting never talks. When did he call you funny? What are you talking about?
Texted him.
It was 1998.
It's possible there was an angle on a pay-per-view or Thunder that we didn't watch.
Maybe. It would have been nice if the announcers include me in then.
Well,
maybe he saw him work and was giggling.
So they bring out Kurt Hennig and announce him as their newest member. He comes out in a black and white shirt. Brian Adams, who was rad.
Sure.
Brian Adams comes out to confront him.
No, he wasn't.
He was not really. Hennig won't listen, gets in the ring, peels off the black and white to show the black and red. Adams is pissed. He's on the floor yelling at them. Conan challenges Adams to a match, and I shrieked.
Oh, my God.
I do not want to see Conan wrestle Bryan Adams.
Oh, my God. I don't want to see Bryan Adams wrestle anybody.
Well, that's also true. And then Nash challenged Lex Luger to a match for the main event.
And you wonder why Raw is smashing the shit out of him now. Look at this show.
Not to mention the NBA Finals are on. This show was 2 hours because it was delayed. Last week, they had to break it up in 2 parts. This was the worst time for them to have their show delayed and or taken off TV for the week.
I would believe that excuse more if any of these 2 hours had actually been good.
That's fair.
I think everything except Goldberg has sucked. I may be missing something. Oh, there was the... what the hell? I forget.
Steiner.
Probably. Anyway. Had a Raven video package. Never got enough love from his parents. Never had any friends at school.
It's totally Bray Wyatt.
It is?
Yeah.
It's also totally Raven. And part of me was like, this guy's been around for a year. Why are you showing this video now? And part of me is like, well, let's not
WCW.
Let's not assume every fan has seen every show over the past year. It's not a bad idea to do little profile videos like this.
Or ECW for years before that.
Well, there's that too. Jericho came out for a promo. He had the picture of Dean Malenko, had the ring announcer hold it. Showed a video clip of Dean talking about his late father and what a privilege it was to be the great Malenko's son. And Jericho said, Dean, your father's rolling over in your grave because you're a lousy wrestler, your brother's a lousy wrestler. Nobody cares about you or your pathetic career. And then he introduced a man he dubbed Bore Us Malenko.
The man of one hold.
Out came a dweeb in Dean Malenko's gear.
He did have a one on his ass.
That was funny.
In parentheses.
Yep.
I laughed my ass off at the one on his ass.
And think about this, by the way. This guy had tights made.
Yeah. For his one Nitro show.
And
I'm sure they were made for him.
I'm going to assume Jericho did it.
Not only did he have his own tights made, or somebody did, he in fact displayed his one hold.
Yes, he got...
Arm ringer.
The bell rang, he grabbed Jericho and ringed his arm.
Starts with an A.
And Jericho screamed, his hold!
Yep.
Then he cut him off, clowned around with him for a while, eventually beat him with a Boston Crab.
Oh my God, he lifts him up for a spine buster to set up the Boston Crab. This fucking guy landed right on his elbow.
Yeah.
Right on his elbow. Then he lion tamed him.
He did. The Nitro girls danced. Alex Wright interrupted until security took him away. The exact same thing.
So they're dancing. And Alex Wright hits the ring.
Yeah.
And he grabs a chair. Like he's going to do a chair dance. And his chair dance is his one move in front of the chair.
Yes.
Right.
Now, he only has one move. He's a man of one dance move.
Sure.
Like the man of one hold. So let me repeat one more time. Alex Wright gets in the ring. He turns the chair around. He does his one move, which is only done by Alex Wright. They cut to the announcers. I believe it was Tony Schiavone said, "Was that Alex Wright?"
Yes. Well, he was in disguise. He was wearing a red shirt and yellow pants.
It was definitely Alex Wright.
I can confirm Brian is correct. Hugh Morris and the Barbarian versus Public Enemy.
Oh, this.
Why did they break up the Ming and Barbarian team?
Ming probably just refused to work with Public Enemy.
Why did we see this
Why?
last week?
Look at him.
Who cares? He's Ming.
Well, there's that.
Why did we see this last week? And it was so great, we had to bring it back for the next week.
Well, clearly because it was so great.
Dude, the opening segment, or the opening spot, Johnny Grunge runs down and starts choking Hugh Morris with, I swear to God, a pool noodle.
Is that what that was?
Hey, if you tie it tight enough.
Yeah. So it was all garbage wrestling. Trash can lids to the head. Trash
was horrible.
cans to the head. It was fucking awful.
It was hideous.
The highlight, they got a trash can.
It's like they got Public Enemy, and they were like, go to a match and hit each other with shit.
Right.
That's what you do. Mm-hmm. And then the other guys, who aren't hardcore wrestlers, are going to beat you at your own gimmick.
Yes.
Then we
Again.
think you might get over.
Sure. So they've got a trash can in the ring, and Barbarian dumps Rocco into it head first. So he's
Yes.
essentially doing a handstand in the can with his feet kicking in the air.
He disposed of Johnny Grunge. Or
It was Rocco.
Rocco Rock.
Yeah. Schiavone says, it looks like he's looking for change. Change? He's dumpster diving for change.
I didn't know.
How broke do you think Public Enemy is? How broke are you that this would even cross your mind? He's dumpster diving for a nickel, Craig. So let's see.
It was a
That's the
funny
least of
visual.
my problems.
Barbarian went through a table. Morris press-slammed Rocco out of the ring through a table, which nearly killed him. Jimmy Hart accidentally hit Morris with a trash can. Grunge stripped Jimmy's shirt off, and we're supposed to be laughing at Jimmy's body. He has a better tan and a smaller belly than at least three of the men in the match.
And he's old.
And he's old. Grunge pinned him with a splash. This is absolutely terrible, god-awful wrestling. So much better than last week.
That's true.
It was so
I
much
guess.
better. Oh, yes.
That's because
Worlds better than last week.
only because Jimmy Hart was in there.
Gene Okerlund interviewed Brian Adams, who had about 95 appearances on this 90-minute show.
Well, he's taking Hogan's spot because Hogan knew the rating would be down. So why would you show up?
I think the bigger issue is Raw's winning. We got to get a Raw guy all over this show. We just got Brian Adams. We just got... What's his name?
Crush.
Crush. He's not Chains?
No,
We went over this,
yes,
right?
we did.
Okay. Who cares?
Anyway, Adams talks about how great Hulk Hogan is, and he accepted Conan's challenge, this bastard. We had a video package dedicated to Booker T and Chris Benoit's mullet. Booker claimed Benoit had intentionally taken the ref out in their pay-per-view match and then used that as a distraction to put on the crossface.
Which was true.
Benoit rebutted, said, "What happened to the ref is not my fault. I put you in the crossface and you tapped out." Booker said, "I did not tap. I was just reaching for the ropes." And then he went on to get the pin at the pay-per-view, and they're doing a rematch at the pay-per-view, or so I thought.
This was the week where they decided, you know what's going to really help these house shows? Let's change the title on all these shows, but then pretend it never happened.
I see.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, there were 5 title changes this week. None of them acknowledged on television.
Huh.
So all those fans bought their money, thought they saw history, turned on Nitro, learned they were wrong.
Yep.
It never happened. Did wonders for attendance, among things.
Saturn versus Hammer. There were some horrible mid-card feuds on Nitro in 1998.
Can you imagine someone who doesn't watch wrestling tuning in right now and just hearing there's a match between Saturn and Hammer?
Yeah.
In a loser leaves the flock match?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a speech by a guy named Kidman.
Yeah.
Hammer was the worst wrestler of the week.
Yeah. I like when they're doing this match. Well, first of all, Kidman does a speech. He announces his loser leaves the flock. He wishes Hammer good luck. It turns to Saturn and says, "Raven says do whatever you have to do to win." Raven's running a tight ship here, clearly. So they're doing this match, and it's not very good.
I mean, it was clear from the pre-match and the post-match that Raven wanted Saturn to win.
Yes.
Sure.
Which begs the question, why didn't you just kick Hammer out of the flock?
I don't know.
Why the fuck did you do this match
I
where
don't know.
there is a chance, as we learned here, that he could lose?
Yes. Poor planning by the genius Raven.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have any friends.
Apparently not. So, Saturn started his comeback with a superplex, and by that I mean Hammer superplexed him.
Yeah.
Hammer hit a superplex, and Saturn just pops up and starts throwing punches. Makes his hits a leg drop, does some stuff off a chair. Ref gets bumped.
Killed him with that leg drop. Sat
He
right
got
on his
so
head.
high.
Oh my god,
And
he
did-
sat right on his head.
Yes.
Come down right on his head, too.
Dude.
So the ref got bumped. Canyon, disguised as a soda vendor, gets in the ring. He's got a tray full of beverages. He drops the tray on Saturn's head. Now the ring's covered in beer
And ice.
and ice. He grabs a chair, hits Hammer in the back. Hammer falls on top. Canyon leaves. The ref revives. He counts 3. Saturn is out of the flock.
Yep.
Right.
Now, can Raven just say, "I'm taking you back in"?
He could, I'm sure.
Are
he could,
there rules?
He could do whatever he wants.
Is
Well,
that-
yeah, there's Raven's rules.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
We'll find out what they are as we get
I'll
going.
let you
but-
back in the nest, brother.
Have you noticed, by the way, if you go to a WWE show, even a house show, if anything happens to the canvas, it is immediately replaced.
Yes.
Whether
Yeah.
it's television, pay-per-view, house show, it doesn't matter. These fuckers do a spot where this dude runs in, Canyon, with a big platform, basically, full of pop, soda, water, whatever, hits a guy, it fucking goes flying everywhere.
Great visual.
The ring canvas is soaked. They just leave it wet. Mm-hmm. Dudes in the next match are slipping all over the place, practically killing themselves. Mind-blowing. I mean, it's not, but it is.
So Hammer wins. They cut backstage where Raven has been watching. He is pissed. He leaves his feet to leave the locker room and presumably go kick somebody's ass. But a heavily armed DDP is there to cut him off. Page destroys the flock with all his weapons.
Heavily armed, meaning he had a giant stop sign,
And a
not
ball
like
rope.
an AK-47.
Well, he had a rope, too.
And a rope. A cowbell.
Cowbell.
2 cowbells.
I guess so. So he drags Raven down to the ring. They have a brawl. And eventually Page hangs Raven over the ropes and security hits the ring to save Raven's life.
It was pretty awesome when Paige put the cowbell on Raven's head and then punched the cowbell so it rang when he hit him. That was funny.
Juventud Guerrera versus Sick Boy.
Oh, my God.
Okay, where to begin?
I'll tell you where to begin. Who booked this?
The same company that buries Hoovy every week in an attempt to get him over.
Let's take a guy.
You watch it and you think he's being punished.
Let's take a guy who can have a great match or a horrible match, usually depending on his opponent, and put him in with a guy who never has a good match.
Yes.
And let's see what happens. Well, what happens was they fucked a bunch of shit up.
They were blaming it on the beer in the ring.
That may have been part of it.
Wouldn't have helped.
It wasn't all of it.
It didn't help. It was not all of it. So, yeah, they were fucking stuff up left and right. Included by they, I mean the production crew as well, because Hoovy's music starts and you see him like take one step out on stage to do his little headbanging pose when he comes out. But then the camera cuts to ringside for a close-up of another cameraman's ass. Nitro, everyone. They have this match. It's all very sloppy, except, let's be fair, Sick Boy grabbed Hoovy at one point, threw him across his shoulders, and hit an F5 better than almost anything Brock Lesnar has ever done.
Send him into the stratosphere.
The only one Brock Lesnar ever did better than this was to Shannon Moore, where Brock threw him so high that he dropped his arms, watched Saturn continue to go up, and then dropped with him as Shannon fell to earth, even though they were, by this point, like 8 feet apart. That was better. But that was the only one. Everything else sucked. So they're going through this. Heenan outright says, "This ring is very dangerous. We are going to see a lot of injuries tonight." That's awesome. And then, remember we said they think they're trying to get Hoovy over? He never surrenders.
Right.
He's always a fighter. Horace attacks for the DQ.
Oh, yeah.
Juventud Guerrera, they're trying to get him over. They couldn't let him pin Sick Boy.
No. He doesn't win. He just doesn't give up.
So the flock attacks. They lay Hoovy out. And then, what's the best thing on Nitro every week? Goldberg's the best thing on Nitro every week.
That's right.
Goldberg comes charging out. Place explodes. So Reese, by now, he has hit his tree slam on Hoovy right next to the ropes and stayed down on all fours. And he has done this because Goldberg hits the ring and jumps in the apron, vaults over the ropes, over Reese, lands on his feet, spears Sick Boy, and he turns around and there's Reese, who is legit 7 feet tall or more, 400-some pounds. And Goldberg looks at him, grabs him, hits the easiest jackhammer you ever saw in your life.
Held the dude up there.
Oh, yeah. He could have done a minute, I'm sure.
It was great. And by the way, I want to add something. In the Sick Boy match, Sick Boy did in fact do a standing, delayed vertical suplex.
Yeah.
Got to give the guy credit. That was cool. Now, granted, that was holding Hoovy. Goldberg did this with Reese.
More impressive.
Way more impressive.
You know,
Reese is the size of 10 Hoovies.
You know,
Yeah.
Goldberg hit this jackhammer on Reese last week. You do realize that, right?
No,
I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I remembered this one. This
I'll
one.
probably, maybe he'll do it again next week and I'll forget again.
I seem to
Sure.
recall last week it was like he went up and down. This one he went up and then down.
Maybe that's why he did it again.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought, you know
He
what?
was like, I can hold this guy.
Once I got that guy up there, I can do a lot better. So Goldberg's the best thing in the world. It sucks to be Hoovy. Gene brings out Rick Steiner for a promo.
Oh, this.
Okay, so Rick tore his rotator cuff.
Oh.
They're getting rid of Rick. So in order to do so, they bring out Scott Steiner, who's on crutches, and about 25 beers, I think. I could barely understand a word this guy said. He slurred his way through some speech. He's all sad. He's trying to cry.
He did.
He cried.
I'm crying. He just wants to be with his brother again.
His parents aren't talking to him.
His
sister's kids aren't talking to him.
He doesn't care one bit about Hulk Hogan, even though he's there in his NWO shirt.
Right.
Bagwell's gone. He just can't handle this no more. He just wants to be back with his brother again. His dumb shit brother buys it and gets his ass beaten.
Yeah. They hug. Scott turns Rick around so he's back to the entranceway. Bryan Adams makes his 400th appearance in the show. Comes out with a bat, attacks Rick with it. Scotty stands straight up, waves his crutches in the air, and screams at Adams to hurt Rick. He hurt Bagwell, he says. And they hurriedly went to a break.
You know, the other thing is, I am a big fan of Gene Okerlund. I defend Gene against a lot of things here in the 90s, but the Gene Okerlund character, or if he did this on his own, like, it's all his fault this happened.
Rick was skeptical.
Rick was absolutely
Why
skeptical.
should I believe you, he
and
said.
Gene's like, it's your brother. If you can't trust your brother, who can you trust? Look at him. He's crying. Gene's like cutting the promo for Scott, which actually maybe Gene thought, nobody can understand a word this bumbling marble mouth is saying right now, so I'm going to cut the promo for him. I'm going to try and make this whole thing make sense. And he tried to save it. But in doing so, like, he totally was the guy responsible for all of this. Rick Steiner, when he comes back, should target Gene.
I bet he wins.
Gene was like Scott's manager here.
Basically, yes. Conan versus Bryan Adams. Thankfully, it was very short. Brett runs out and attacks Conan. Adams hits a press slam and a backbreaker. He makes a cover. Kevin Nash snuck into the ring. And when I say snuck into the ring, I had to watch this like 3 times to figure out where he came from. Because he was legit like on the steps, ducking down, hiding behind Adams. And from the camera they used, I couldn't see him. So he gets in the ring, and Adams is making a cover, and Nash stomped him so fucking hard in the head.
It was probably a receipt for the pile driver that Bryan Adams threw on Conan.
Maybe?
That looked horrible.
All of his pile drivers look horrible.
Well, this one looked horrible, and Conan looked like he got hurt.
I have never seen a good Bryan Adams pile driver. And if anyone has one, I'd love to see it.
So he stomped him really fucking hard in the head. Power bombed him for good measure. Also no fine.
No fine, no mention.
Yeah. Nitro girls danced in some very tight pants and fancy bras. Almost as hot as the dudette.
Let's not get crazy.
So we've had Nitro party clips from college parties. And high school parties and house parties. I believe this is our first Nitro party from a church.
That's correct.
Hey, you know they ain't watching Raw.
Hell no. Or if they are, they'll better start praying for everyone. So we had quote-unquote Nitro girls, which was 10-year-old girls who were not dancing. And one guy said, we're going to eat a lot of food.
Sounds like a hell of a party.
That was that.
We're going to eat a lot of food while we watch Nitro. Well, it's 3 fucking hours, so you sure are.
I guess so.
Maybe not this one.
Fit Finley versus Booker T.
This was good.
I love watching Fit Finley wrestle.
Yeah.
It brings me such joy. He just watching him push a guy to the corner and punch him in the ribs. Nothing fancy. It's just awesome.
Just looks good.
It looks great.
I realize they've never really done anything
Most
with
fights don't look as good. Most
No.
real fights don't look as good as Finley's pretend fights.
Finley's very, very good. I realize they've never done like a lot with the guy, but they go in there, they have a good match, 4 whopping minutes. Finlay tombstones him and beats him.
Well, it was a Benoit distraction, but yes.
That was weird.
But the announcers are like, this is one of the biggest upsets in the history of Monday Nitro. And I'm like, when you think of all of the stupid title changes and finishes, this Fit Finley winning the fucking title is the TV title. Did we forget Prince Iakea? Or
We did
9 million
that,
other goofy finishes?
Matter of fact, we did.
So that's shocking, wasn't
Goldberg over Hugh Morris?
it? And man, Benoit, Booker T, and Fit Finley all fighting for this title. I'll take it.
That's true. That's true. Main event, Kevin Nash and Lex Luger. It went like 3 minutes, and the Wolfpack interfered for the DQ as Nash was winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best part. Nash is beating the hell out of the guy, and then the Wolfpack just came in, and there was a DQ.
What's the point of this?
I was like, you couldn't give the guy like a second of offense before they hit the ring? Nash is winning, and they got in there.
Luger literally got no offense.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not even blaming Tony Schiavone because, you know, these are the things that he needs to say, I'm sure, but He's celebrating that the Wolfpack is like the old NWO that would do gang beatings and DQs at the end of every match.
I don't know.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like
as a fan, that's not good news.
It's 98.
As a WCW guy, it's not good news.
They debuted in 1996.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. They're still doing the same shit, and they're acting like this is awesome. 2 years!
So, just as they're about to leave, Bryan Adams makes his 643rd appearance on the show, and Bret Hart runs out there to stop him from doing anything, and they laugh.
Yeah.
Raw was so much better this week.
Oh my God, the tide has turned. At least for 1 week.
For 1 week. Things can change.
You know, the thing about Raw I didn't mention was it was taped. Oh. That's why the dudette was back. They just stayed backstage.
Well, let's tape every week then.
Yeah, they did both. Well, no, they did both tapings, you jackass.
Let's tape a year's worth of shows in this one day.
The point of this is there was a lot of editing of that Raw show. Like if you watch all of the interviews, even the Vince McMahon interview, there was like a very, very weird cut.
Yeah.
And whatever he said, Foley had this big old smile about it, so I can only imagine what got cut by Vince McMahon. But yeah, Raw destroyed Nitro in the ratings and in show quality this week. And we'll see what happens next week. Let's play a song. What have I got? This is from Fusion Time Lord.
Hunter wrecked his home.
Home invasion. Home wrecker.
That first part was very Kanye-esque.
Home wrecker. You know what I mean?
He wrecked a home?
Wrecked his home?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Fusion Time Lord. All right, we're out of here, everybody. We'll be back on Thursday with NXT and Raw. And, man, what's next, Vinny? Like the WWF?
I think it's a Wrestling Classic, isn't it?
Wrestling Classic.
Ooh, that's a good one.
A tournament.
Like 15 one-minute matches.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Well, I can't wait for that.
I remember a semifinal. I mean, a first-round match.
The finals was...
Don't tell me. Don't spoil it. It's
true.
a tournament.
You'll spoil like 3 matches.
Yeah,
if you do
please.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need to watch this like...
I watched it many
Like it's
times
85.
as a youngster. We'll see if
Really?
it won't hold up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I can't wait. All right, that's Thursday, everybody, and that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Bye.